Right now, this is our time in the studio with Carolina Corot. I welcome the viewers of Freedom. Let's get straight to the important news. 3 people were killed and 3 more injured after Russian occupiers shelled Kramatorsk and Druzhkivka in the Donetsk region. This was reported by the regional prosecutor's office. According to law enforcement, the Russians attacked Druzhkivka at 5 a.m. with an FPV drone. At that time, 3 72-year-old women were outside. They suffered blast injuries and shrapnel wound. 3 hours later, Russian forces launched an artillery strike on a civilian infrastructure facility in Kramatorsk. As a result of the shelling, 2 women and a man were killed. 2 people were killed and 7 others, including 2 children, were injured as a result of a Russian attack on the Dnipropetrovsk region. According to the head of the regional military administration, Alexander Hanja, the Russian army shelled 3 districts of the region overnight. In the Pokrovska community of the Sinelnikov district, rescuers found the body of a 55-year-old man under the rubble of a destroyed house. Later, another victim died in the hospital from their injuries. 2 private houses were destroyed and 4 more were damaged. Several fires broke out in Kryvyi Rih after the strikes. A transportation company in the city of Apostolov, which is in the Kryvyi Rih district, was also damaged. In the Nikopol district, a 5-story residential building was damaged by shelling. In the morning, the Russian army attacked Odessa with strike drones. As a result of the attack, part of a drone hit a residential building in the city's private sector. The roofs and facades of 2 houses were damaged. The blast wave also shattered windows in houses near the epicenter of the attack. According to city authorities, fortunately, there were no casualties.
I woke up around 9 in the morning. At about 9 a.m., I woke up. A girl ran in. She said, "Shahid is coming." We went to the bathroom. I grabbed my phone and then it hit. It landed right here. At that moment, I was in the bedroom. The window blew out. Yeah, and in the whole house, only 1 window survived. In the neighboring house, thank God, people managed to get down to the semi-basement. There was a guy there. He survived.
I heard it flying and then boom, and that was it. All my windows blew out, the roof too, everything. And I didn't even have time to really feel any fear. There was this tension. It was scary. Of course it was frightening. I got some kind of help because I live alone. I need someone to fix my window. My window.
2 girls, 9 and 15, were injured in an attack by Russian forces on the Zaporizhzhia region. This was reported by the head of the regional military administration, Ivan Fedorov. According to him, Russian occupiers struck the village of Kamashivka with a guided aerial bomb. The shell hit a residential building. The building was completely destroyed, and neighboring houses were damaged by the blast wave and shrapnel from the munition. Last night, Russian occupiers also attacked energy infrastructure facilities in several regions of Ukraine. According to the country's Ministry of Energy, as a result of the attacks, consumers in the Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Sumy regions were left without power. The ministry noted that energy workers are doing everything they can to restore power to all customers as quickly as possible. Ukrainian defense forces eliminated 960 Russian occupiers over the past day. Thus, Russia's total combat losses since the start of the full-scale war have already exceeded 1,267,000 soldiers. In addition, according to the Ukrainian General Staff, the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed 4 Russian tanks and 3 armored combat vehicles, 74 artillery systems, 3 multiple-launch rocket systems, 5 air defense assets, and 248 units of enemy automotive and special equipment. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine recorded 145 combat engagements on the front line over the past day. The most intense fighting remains in the Huliaipol direction. There, the Russian occupiers tried to attack the defense forces' positions up to 34 times. Another 22 assaults were recorded in the Pokrovsk sector of the front. In addition, in the Slavyansk direction, the Russian army carried out 20 attacks. In the Konstantinovka area, the enemy launched assault actions 14 times. On the night of March 2nd, Russian forces attacked Ukraine with nearly 100 strike drones. Most of the Russian targets were shot down by Ukraine's air defense forces, but about 19 hits were recorded. According to the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the Russians used 94 strike drones of various types, including Shahed, Gerbera, and Talmaz. Russian troops experienced difficulties with logistics and command after their satellite communication system was shut down. Starlink, This was reported on the United News Marathon broadcast by Viktor Trehabov, spokesperson for the Joint Forces Group of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. According to him, Russian units are now regrouping more often than conducting active offensive operations. Trehabov also noted that attempts by the Russian army to attack have been observed in the Lyman and Kupiansk directions. Enemy activity was also observed near Vovchansk. Ukraine's defense forces have stabilized the situation near Huliaipol and are carrying out counterattacks. This was reported on the United News Marathon by National Guard spokesperson Ruslan Muzichuk. According to him, fighting remains intense in the Huliaipol direction. The Russian occupiers tried to expand the gray zone, but Ukrainian units were able to stabilize the situation. The National Guard stated that in recent weeks there have been no large-scale mechanized assaults in this sector of the front, but the Russians are actively using drones. The Security Service of Ukraine, together with other units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, struck Russian military and oil facilities in the port of Novorossiysk. This was reported by Freedom TV channel sources in the Security Service of Ukraine. According to their information, drones from the Alpha Operations Center hit military ships, the Favorite radar system, and an anti-aircraft complex. The Pantsir S-2 system and 6 out of 7 oil loading stands were also hit. Since last night, there has been a large-scale fire in the port. This oil terminal is one of the largest in southern Russia, and it supplies fuel to Russian troops participating in the war against Ukraine. The leaders of Germany, France, and the United Kingdom threatened Iran that they would join the operation with the United States and Israel. Their joint statement was published on the German government's website. The heads of state condemned Tehran's missile strikes on countries in the Middle East. This also concerns countries that were not involved in the military actions. The leaders emphasized that the attacks threaten Europe's allies. Both the military and civilian populations of the region are under threat. The countries called on Tehran to immediately stop the shelling. Otherwise, they are prepared to take part in military action. Meanwhile, Iranian strikes are continuing. In Kuwait, a column of smoke is rising near the American embassy. Firefighters and paramedics are on the scene. In addition, last night a drone attacked a British military base in Cyprus. There were no casualties. Authorities in Cyprus and the United Kingdom reported that the drone caused only minor damage. Base personnel were urged to remain in shelters. This facility was previously used for military operations in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. U.S. President Donald Trump called on Iranian military forces to lay down their arms. According to him, members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, as well as the army and police, should surrender. Otherwise, he said, they will die. Trump emphasized that the operation against Iran will continue until all objectives are achieved. The U.S. has already carried out strikes. They targeted hundreds of sites, including units of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, air defense systems, ships, and shipbuilding facilities. The head of the White House also said that he has 3 candidates for the role of Iran's new leader, but he didn't name any of them.
Once again, I call on the Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Iranian military, and the police. Lay down your arms and receive full immunity, or face certain death. We planned for a 4 to 5 week operation. This won't be difficult. We have a huge stockpile of ammunition. You know, we have ammunition stored all over the world in different countries. Donald Trump, President of the United States.
Iran will not negotiate with the United States of America. This was stated by Ali Larijani, Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, who was temporarily acting as the supreme leader. The statement came after reports about the possible resumption of talks with America. According to Larijani, Iran did not initiate aggression, and he also noted that the actions of the United States have thrown the region into chaos. And now, dear Freedom viewers, I'd like to suggest a topic for more in-depth discussion on air. Military escalation in the Middle East should not distract the international community from Russia's war against Ukraine. That's the opinion of Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda. After a phone conversation with Estonian President Alar Karis, Nausėda stated that Europe must continue to support the Ukrainian people.
We agreed that the crisis in the Middle East should not divert the attention of the international community from Russia's ongoing war against Ukraine. Europe should remain united and continue to provide consistent political, economic, and military support to the Ukrainians. Gitanas Nausėda, president of Lithuania, on social network X.
London intends to involve Ukrainian specialists in intercepting Iranian drones in the Persian Gulf region. This was stated by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He also said that the United Kingdom has provided its bases for use by the United States. We're talking about strike and missile launchers and storage facilities on Iranian territory.
The United Kingdom will not participate in strikes against Iran because we believe that the best path for the region and for the whole world is a negotiated settlement in which Iran agrees to abandon any ambitions to develop nuclear weapons. Our partners in the Persian Gulf have asked us to do more to protect them, and it is my duty to protect the lives of British citizens. We are not participating in these strikes, but we will continue with defensive actions in the region. We will also bring in experts from Ukraine, along with our own specialists, to help our partners in the Persian Gulf shoot down Iranian drones.
Over the course of 3 winter months, Ukrainian air defense forces repelled 14 massive combined attacks by the Russians. During these attacks, the Russian army launched more than 700 missiles of various types at Ukraine, and according to the Ukrainian Air Force. In December and January, the enemy carried out 7 massive strikes on the country using missiles and drones of different types. And in February, the intensity of Russian air attacks doubled. Ukraine repelled 7 more large-scale attacks. Russian forces combined the launches of attack drones and various types of missiles to complicate the air situation, overload, and exhaust Ukrainian air defenses. The president of Ukraine spoke about the defense forces' needs to counter Russian aggression during a phone conversation with German Chancellor Merz. As Volodymyr Zelenskyy noted, they also discussed the situation in Ukraine and contacts with other leaders. In addition, they talked about peace negotiations and their possible progress in light of the escalating situation in the Middle East.
I reported on the situation at the front and our need for air defense missiles. There is intelligence about possible Russian strikes, and that's exactly why it's so important right now to do everything possible for protection. Friedrich provided comprehensive details about his recent visit to China and the various meetings that took place there. Beijing possesses a wide array of strategic tools that can significantly influence Russia and its overall level of willingness to end the war. We also carefully coordinated our efforts ahead of the Chancellor's upcoming meeting with President Trump in Washington. I'm grateful to Friedrich, his team, and Germany for their ongoing support in protecting lives. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine, on the social network X. At the
same time, the situation in the Middle East has not affected the supply of missiles for Patriot air defense systems. This was stated by the president of Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelenskyy also emphasized, in response to a question from a Freedom TV journalist, that Russia failed to break Ukraine through energy terror this winter. But the aggressor is preparing new strikes.
Russia's preparing a new wave of attacks. They will target infrastructure, logistics, and water supply. Russia doesn't want us to have problems specifically with water. Communities need to focus on this challenge. And on our part, we need to provide more missiles for air defense. But we are already stronger because we made it through this winter. And Russia understands that energy terror did not break Ukraine. First and foremost, there are security guarantees between us and the United States of America. We are waiting for our partners to sign them. The document's ready. In this position, we will definitely be stronger. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine,